My story of what it means to be a Republican is not just simply a party platform, but it's what we do in service of objective truth and not subjective whims. Our party was founded in 1854 to combat the evils of slavery, and our party stands for the right things in service of the truth, or should stand for things. We know that faith, family, friends, and love of community is what brings us the best hope, peace, and joy. We know that the veteran who comes home from a weary battle should be treated with love and respect at our veteran services centers and our VA medical centers across the country. And we know that the subjective whims that go on is not going to bring us clear and objective truth. We've seen time and time again where either the establishment or the people that espouse that they are the, quote, solutions to the things never bring those solutions. And we've tried it in various ways in states, localities, and all across the country. We've heard the rhetoric of politicians day after day where they promise the people what they're going to do, and then they disappear and they say nothing, and then they come back and they get the vote in 2 or 4 years, depending on what office it is. We cannot run a country like this. We can't run our states and localities like this. We know, too, that for people with different abilities and disabilities, we know that it's not about the government handouts, but a hand up. And for anybody with levels of support, we know that the right levels of support are always with their God-given dignity in mind, where people reach their true potential each and every day. We know that the person that overcomes drug addiction is celebrated and cherished when they get over that hard milestones of overcoming what is really, really hard in some cases. And we know that the people who are alone should not be alone. From the lone people in the different communities, it's the communities that bring them up. We know that the loving families of all ages and people of all ages are what makes our country great. We cannot have a country, especially a party platform, where we water down objective truths for subjective whims. Like I said, we've tried to do that. And look at all the many failures. And again, our party and our country isn't about the failures of the past, but rather looking ahead to the success of the future. We can't allow things where we water down pro-life. What we're doing is we're saying we don't care about the unborn anymore. Well, guess what? The unborn have a special place because they're knit in the womb by God, specially created. Each and every person has a divine and special purpose in life, and every gift is a gift of God. We cannot allow the subjective whims to water this down. And once obviously the baby is born, we know that resources that connect mothers with the help they need is what is awesome. And strong fathers helps to build the foundation of our country. We know that in communities we look out for one another, online and offline as well, and that's what makes the country great. Unfortunately, we've seen rhetoric that we must water down the objective truths. Why? Because they want to push objective whims. This isn't how to run a country. This isn't how to run a party. These things don't work. Time and time again, like I've said, they don't work. Look at, for example, my own story. I was told in Virginia, now currently in Tennessee and soon to be in Indiana, which will be my permanent home state, by the way. I was told growing up in Virginia that I would never graduate high school. Probably wouldn't have spoken very well because then again, my parents were told, my potential, so to speak, was told I was never going to drive, but guess what? I did it. I finished an online associate degree in criminal justice in 2022, and that was despite the lockdowns pushed by both parties. It was hard to get through that, yet I did it I did it. It was hard. I'll admit that, because you know what? Nobody's perfect except for God, and we build each other up with the great things. Likewise, finishing a BA in communication this year online. I'm excited to finish it soon, and as a communicator, I owe it to you all to improve every day long after I finish college. Politicians out there need to hold themselves accountable. Even now, as just somebody who interacts with you all online and or offline, I need to have accountability for myself, and we all have accountability for each other because that's how we shape the foundation and the future of our country. And we look to the ultimate foundation, which is the Constitution. And the Constitution and the founders of our country, they knew that our rights don't come from the government, and the government doesn't grant it. Our rights come from God, and they recognize that. That's why in the state and local levels, you see many politicians on both sides. They claim to espouse all the solutions. What have they done for the people? You see in San Francisco where you literally need a poop map. Yes, a poop map, exactly. To navigate the streets, and you see homeless people on the side of the sidewalks and on the city streets, having tents up there and not getting the help they need. Because those so-called leaders, they're not leaders, they're cowards. Like Gavin Newsom, for example. They don't actually do anything to help other people. It's clear that they want people like that. how is that treating them with their God-given dignity in mind? And how is that treating them with the founding of our country in mind? It's clear that it's not just on the Democrat side, as we've seen. We've seen it on the Republican side as well. Bill Lee, for example, endorsing a candidate that's for puberty blockers for children. Shame on him for even doing so. That's not what it means to be a Republican, and that's not what it means to even conserve anything. The God-given dignity of each and every person is what makes our country great. And likewise, for me, I serve God. I love my family and I love my friends. And I love all communities across the nation because we have to work in service of the truth. It is clear that the current watering down of the RNC platform cannot stand. If I was ever elected a delegate to some future RNC convention, I would immediately put pro-life in there. Here's what it means to be pro-life. We care for the unborn. And like I said, we have those resources for families and people of all ages. That's what happens. Likewise, they're now watering down faith in the platform. Never thought we'd see the day where we would see that, but yet here we are. And again, you want to talk about including people in the right ways? My dad was an atheist for nearly 50 years, and yet he was welcomed in kindness but in service to the truth. And that is what it means. He's no longer an atheist, but the reason he's no longer an atheist is because people didn't force, but they also didn't water things down either. It's clear that that's the right way to go. Likewise, for people like me, I was told the truth about what I needed to do and that I did have my full potential. Then I was told because, see, here again, we talk about including people. Has the RNC ever reached out to people like me who've overcome challenges? It's not about me, but it's about all of us. Why? Why haven't they talked about, for example, states like Florida and Iowa, which are doing things? I didn't have that, and yet I had people, either online and or offline, who helped me find my true way. And I'm always learning. And I'm not perfect. I don't have all the solutions. But it's clear, our country cannot take any more of this watering down of stuff. We have to have peace, hope, love, and joy, and kindness and service to the truth. We're not getting that from this current platform. A lot of things are being watered down. Where in this platform, for example, do you see all the things that truly make it not just what it means to be a Republican, but the fact that these elected officials, they claim to represent you and I. And what are they doing? Does the platform actually address these issues in substance? And not just mere talking points, but actually solutions that could be implemented from the national level to the states, all the way down to the local levels and communities across America. What makes our country truly great is the fact that we embrace people in service of the truth. I'm here today to tell you that I will never water that down. I don't care what the platform says or doesn't say in regards to what I'm going to do. I'm going to live the truth anyway. If that costs me some things here on earth, it's better to stand in God's truth anyway. And again, I don't force anything. I do things because this is where I stand. Likewise, people say, what happens in the future if things go bad? Well, you know what? There I stay, because I'm not going to change just for subjective whims. And finally, listen to the fact that you have this beautiful nature and things outside right here. The small joys in life, both online and or offline. We're here with peace and joy. And the reason that's so important is because everybody has that God-given gifts. And for people who need to be brought up and uplifted out of situations, we need to find them not as a party, but as fellow Americans. That's what truly makes our country great. And when we look at each person, not with the failings of the past, but the success of the future, and not what they can't do, but what they can do, we know that there are no greater heights that can be reached, because we can reach those greater heights instead. Instead of saying, well, that's it, there's no greater heights, guess what? We have not just rhetoric, but meaningful action where we uplift people and we say, there are greater heights that you can reach. And this is why, even among the challenges and the trying times, don't give up and never give in. Even, for example, when I was doing college, it wasn't always easy. I had a lot of struggles. And you know what? I admit those, not to virtue signal, but to share my journey of life, became a constitutional conservative, and strongly so as far as being involved in this. I became politically involved as a constitutional conservative because it's the way forward. It's not for me, it's for all of us together. And finally, I just want to say this, to everybody that's watching, no matter what things you face in life, we know that the best is still yet to come, because each and every person has that full potential. And for the unborn children that are not born into this world, we can't wait to see them here, because we know that they have a special purpose. God bless the United States of America.